Chapter 16. Tang returns to Xiang City. Public opinion spreads. Saying this, Lin Anguo paused for a second, looked at Su Wan, and continued. Wan Wan, if you can't bear it anymore and want to leave early, just let Grandpa Lin know. Although I've spent my whole life at Hualin Hospital, nowadays, I don't have much real power. Even though Grandpa Lin can't come up with 10 billion at once, if I gather the savings from these years, 2 or 3 billion are still possible. Lin Anguo advised Su Wan. Wan Wan, don't be polite with Grandpa Lin whenever you want to leave Xiang City. Just tell Grandpa Lin. He'll figure out a way to help you with this breach of contract penalty. Su Wan held a cup of hot tea in her hand, and that warmth seemed to spread from her fingertips to her heart. Grandpa Lin, you can rest assured I can handle this matter, so you don't have to worry about me. The $10 billion breach of contract penalty was just an excuse for Fu Jing Zhou to hold her back. Even if she actually came up with 10 billion, it wouldn't resolve the enmity between her parents and his father. He wouldn't easily let her leave. Lin Anguo had also heard about the past between Fu Jing Zhou and Su Wan outside of Hualin Hospital. Naturally, he understood that even with 10 billion, Fu Jing Zhou might not just let go. However, the entire Hualin Hospital was under Fu Jing Zhou's control now. The title of director for Lin Anguo was merely a facade. All he could do now was use his last bit of influence to ensure Su Wan's well-being within Hualin Hospital. Blue Night Bar. Due to unexpected issues on the set of the film that Tang, the renowned actress, was currently shooting. The entire production had to pause for a few days. Zhou Moon informed Luoyu, Shen Ming, and Chen Yizhou about this matter and asked if they would like to go to the airport this afternoon to welcome Tang. Just then, Luoyu's phone chimed with a message. He opened his phone and quickly read the content of the message. Upon seeing the faces of the two individuals in the attached photo, his hand tightened around the phone, his knuckles turning white. In the photo, Su Wan, who had been lying on his bed last night, was now leaning quietly against Fu Jing Zhou's embrace. She didn't resist as Fu Jing Zhou held her tightly. This scene felt like a needle, pricking Luoyu's heart and making his eyes narrow. For a long while, he didn't say anything. Zhou Mu looked over and repeated his question. Luoyu, Tang is coming back. Are you going to the airport to welcome her? Luoyu remained silent, his face turning cold. He abruptly left the private room. Zhou Mu and Chen Yizhou exchanged puzzled looks. What's wrong with him? Who did he offend? The fury in his eyes was like he wanted to kill someone. Shen Ming shrugged, turning to Zhou Mu and Chen Yizhou. Why are you both looking at me? I didn't provoke this old ancestor. Outside in the corridor, Luoyu exited the message, opened his contact list, and dialed Su Wan's number. On his first attempt, there was no answer until the call was automatically disconnected. Listening to the mechanical female voice, Luoyu pressed the end call button. Then, he dialed again. This time, it rang for several tones before finally being answered on the other end. At that moment, Su Wan had just come out of the director's office. She had her phone on silent mode, so she didn't hear Luoyu's first call. Luoyu. Su Wan's voice on the other end sounded as usual, calm with a hint of curiosity, suppressing the storm of emotions in his cold eyes. Luoyu controlled all his feelings and asked her as he usually did. Wan Wan, are you coming back for lunch? Su Wan glanced at the time. It was already past 11 o'clock. No, I'm not going back. The hospital provides lunch, so I won't be running back and forth. Su Wan's answer sounded normal, as if nothing had happened. Luoyu fell silent for 2 seconds before asking, what time do you get off work tonight? Not sure yet, Su Wan replied as she walked towards her department. I'm planning to eat outside for dinner. You don't have to wait for me. Focus on your own matters, Luoyu. Hearing her response, Luoyu let out a soft and hung up the phone. He leaned against the wall and, as if possessed, opened the same image again. His thin lips almost formed a straight line. His defined jawline tightened, staring at the photo for almost a minute. He finally irritably turned off his phone, took out a cigarette, and lit it. The smoke rising slowly blurred his features, and Luo Yu lowered his gaze, concealing the icy coldness in his eyes. When the cigarette was finished, he finally returned to the private room. "What's wrong?" Shen Ming asked first. "Nothing," Luo Yu answered, sitting on a leather sofa. Luo Yu picked up a glass of chilled drink and downed it. Shen Ming exchanged glances with others. Then Zhou Mu pointed at the message about Ji Tang's return and asked Luo Yu, "Luo Yu, now that you have a family, will you go to welcome Ji Tang, thinking about the photo?" Luo Yu let out a sneer, of course. Why wouldn't I, in the afternoon? At 1 o'clock, Ji Tang, the reigning actress for 3 years, returned to Xiang City from her filming location. The airport was crowded beyond capacity. The news of Ji Tang's return hadn't been kept secret, and many journalists had arrived early at the airport, hoping to get the first-hand information. Several luxury cars were parked outside the airport. Ji Tang, under the protection of her agent and assistant, quickly got into the first car. In the instant the car door was opened and then closed, quick-fingered journalists managed to capture a shot of a distinguished man sitting in the back seat. The man was none other than Luo Yu, who had previously announced his marriage on social media. This photo was like a huge stone thrown into a calm pond, causing ripples to surge out. Almost the moment the photo was posted online, it caused a stir, as countless netizens severally commented and speculated more photos of Luo Yu, Ji Tang, and Shen Ming meeting at the bar surfaced. Many internet users said that Luo Yu had already registered his marriage with Su Wan, yet he still went to pick up his rumored ex-girlfriend from the airport. Moreover, there was no attempt to hide his interactions with Ji Tang. This led people to speculate that Luo Yu and Su Wan's relationship was just for show. Luo Yu clearly didn't care about his hastily married wife at all. That afternoon, the internet was in an uproar. Despite the escalating comments from netizens, the parties involved didn't respond or clarify anything. This dismissive behavior only fueled the imagination of the netizens. When Su Wan returned to Huating Manor, it was almost 7 o'clock in the evening. She ignored the overwhelming rumors between Luo Yu and Ji Tang on the internet. After tossing her phone aside, she lay down on her bed and fell asleep. Perhaps due to Fu Jing Zhou's actions earlier in the morning, she felt a sense of discomfort while asleep. She dreamt of an incident that had happened a week ago. At the time, she had just returned from abroad, and Fu Jing Zhou had accompanied her to handle the paperwork for her employment at Hualin Hospital. He treated her just as before, taking care of every detail personally. Even for her meals, he specially made time to return from his company and cook for her. At that time, she didn't want him to tire himself out, so she suggested that she could order takeout or even cook for herself. Fu Jing Zhou was in the kitchen at the time, washing vegetables, when he heard her words. He wiped his hands and gently pulled her into his embrace. Indulgently, he said, "Outside food is unsanitary, and eating too much of it isn't good for your health." He held her hand gently and kissed the back of her hand, saying tenderly, "Our Xiaoxi's hands are meant for surgery. They can't be tainted by kitchen fumes."